My next guest is going to be taking on Hunter Azure coming up here at UFC on ABC2 on April 10th. It's Jack Shore joining me here on the program. Jack, how's it going, man?
Yes, I'm very good, mate. Very good. Just literally just got out to the gym. So hence why my dog's going a little bit nuts in the background.
He's excited for this fight, I bet. You know, it's a cool matchup here against Hunter Azure. I remember you were supposed to fight, I think it was back in November. You had some visa issues. Was the plan to get back in there right away? Like, what sort of happened from that point onwards in terms of fighting now in April?
So basically, it wasn't so much the visa issues. What happened was when I went up to get my visa initially, the US Embassy in London was shut down for whatever reason. We don't know whether it was like a security protocol or whatever, but they couldn't then get me an appointment until 3 weeks later, which meant I had to get moved back from the original date. And they kept my original opponent, Khalid Taha, on the date, you know, the original fight date, and couldn't end up getting an opponent in for me then at the later date. So, you know, we would have liked to have turned it around fast, but at that point, I think I'd have been in fight camp around about 15 weeks. So my body was feeling it a little bit. So for me to obviously, you know, turn it around fast, I would have had to go straight back into fight camp then, regardless of the fight being cancelled. So me and my coaches just took the decision to just take a few weeks off over Christmas. Not off, but, you know, light training, let the body heal up a little bit, and then obviously attack it then in the new year. And then this just happened to be the date they came with. You know, I was ready for March, April, so, you know, it fell perfectly in the end.
Good stuff. You got some notice for this fight, though, by the sounds of it, because I actually talked to Hunter yesterday. It seemed like you guys knew well ahead of time.
Yeah, I think it'll be around about 9 or 10 weeks notice, so, you know, nice and early, give us time to get some things in place, you know, as far as training camp and that goes. So it was, about 9 weeks notice, I think, in total.
How do you feel like you match up against Hunter in this fight?
Yeah, very well. He's a very tough opponent, you know, skilled everywhere. He's got that wrestling pedigree that everyone knows about. And, you know, he's dangerous on the feet as well with his striking. You know, he's not the most technical striker in the world, but everything he throws with bad intentions, you know, and is trying to knock you out with every punch and every kick he throws. So he's very dangerous, but I think skill-wise, I can do the cleaner work, and with the right game plan, you know, I can go in there, execute, and get him out there, hopefully.
How has camp gone? I imagine pretty good. Obviously, if you're not, you know, talking badly or anything, who have you mainly got to work with for this camp in terms of bodies in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, we're actually in lockdown still in Wales. But
are you really? Oh, shoot, okay.
Because I'm a pro athlete, we've managed to be able to like create a little bubble and train even though there's restrictions. So I've had Brett Johns in.
Nice.
He's probably a well-known name. I'm sparring with Brett every day. A guy called Scott Pedersen, who's Wales' most experienced amateur. He's just turned over pro. And Josh Reed, who's a Cage Warriors veteran himself with, I believe, 17 pro fights, I think. So I've had really good training, you know. It's because the gym is closed and there's not so many bodies on the mats. I mean, although there's not as many people there, the rounds have obviously been harder because, you know, there's no chance to grab a blue belt and have a nice quiet round. You know, every single round is with a killer. So it's been very specific and very like catered around my fights and obviously the boys' fights as well. So it's been a good one, I gotta be honest, one I've enjoyed. And although it's been a little bit different to what we're used to, you know, we've made it work and we've definitely, you know, got me ready and you know, just rearing to go.
Were you ever worried about fighting with the restrictions in Wales, like you were saying, whether, you know, maybe you couldn't get enough people together, maybe you couldn't have an adequate camp? Did that cross your mind at all? Or it was always just, we'll make this work no matter what happens?
Initially, yeah, around about a year ago when the UK first went into like a national lockdown, you know, we couldn't train at all. You know, we couldn't even go down the gym and use the bags. We couldn't even though we were pro athletes, we still didn't get access to the gym. So there was that worry, you know, that if a fight does come, will I be prepared? And thankfully then when they came in with the Fight Island offer back in, well, I thought in July, so it would have been around about May, they lifted restrictions so that pro athletes could train. So we sort of from there knew that it would likely be like this now for the next year or so, where we can train, but obviously it'll be a smaller group. You know, you'll need to be of an elite athlete status, as they call it here in Wales. But, you know, it's become the new normal. Same with everyone, I think. You know, everyone around the world is sort of living life and training for fights a little bit differently now to what they probably was 12, 18 months ago. So we made it work, you know, and we're used to it now. And, you know, we just we're in a much better situation now than what I was this time 12 months ago as far as being prepared. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. How's the weight cut going ahead of the fight?
Yeah, good. Weight's on point. I'm disciplined in my diet. I'm working hard with my nutritionist and my S&C coach who helps with my diet as well. I'll be going to Vegas 10 days before the fight, so I look forward to obviously using the PI and linking up with Clint and the guys out there as well to make sure the meals are on point. So, no weight cut is ever easy, but we get it done and we make sure that I'm 100% good to go come fight night then.
Who's making the trip to Vegas with you for this fight?
I'm taking a full corner with this one. My head coach, Richard Shaw, and Carl Parker, who's my wrestling and MMA coach, and also my boxing and striking coach, Gary Lockett, is going to be meeting us out there on the Tuesday of fight week. But Carl and my father will be coming out with me, 10 days out, so we'll be able to get some good training in and just stay nice and sharp, really. The hard work and sparring and stuff like that will be done by that point, so it's a matter of weight management, keeping the hands and the body sharp, and keeping switched on mentally more than anything. So I'm looking forward to experiencing Vegas fight week, but obviously it'll be nice to have a full team there with me as well. How's
this fight playing out on April 10th?
To be honest, it's not an easy fight at all. Hunter's very skilled, like I said earlier, everywhere. But I do see me getting the finish. I'm not overlooking him in the slightest. I appreciate how tough a test he is and how skilled he is. But I think if I bring my A game and I can do in the cage 1K in the gym the last couple of weeks, then it's going to be a very, very good night for myself.
Where does a win over Hunter Azure put you in the grand scheme of things? Because you're undefeated, that always looks good, and this would be back-to-back UFC wins.
I'd like to think it pushes me up the ladder a little bit. If it doesn't earn me a spot against a ranked opponent, I like to think it'll push me to within sort of one or two more fights. He's a little bit like myself, Hunter. I know he lost to Keller, but he is a bit of a prospect in the division. So if I get a win here, I like to think that I can either push towards a rank, or push towards a fight against a guy, who's fairly well known, even if he's not ranked. If that makes sense, I either want to push towards a guy with a number next to his name, or someone that people would know if we got matched up. That they wouldn't have to sort of research. A guy who's a little bit more known to the fan base. But hopefully, if I come through it injury free and get a good win, it'll be the start of a busy year for me, and I can really start making a climb and sort of solidify my name among some of the best in the division. Then.
Most important question in this interview: what does downtime look like right now? Are you Netflix guy, video games? What are you doing when you're not training, man? What sort of what are you using to kind of break up the monotony of everything?
Well, for a long time I was Netflix, but I bought a PlayStation 5 back in November, and I'll be the first to admit I'm a fully fledged Warzone geek in between training.
Nice.
I'm not the best in the world, but I do struggle to peel myself off there some days. In fact, I think if I didn't have training, then I'd be on there from morning till night. So, maybe I need to look at getting a Twitch going or something like that.
100%. Yeah, get the Jack Shore Twitch going, and get an audience there. Maybe they'll throw some donations and stuff in it, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the most tech guy in the world, so I got a couple of friends who do it, and who are big into that. So I think I'm gonna get this fight out of the way now, and maybe people will be interested in watching me play in Warzone as well as watching me in the octagon.
Awesome. Jack, thanks so much for doing this, man. Really appreciate it. It's UFC and ABC 2 coming up here April 10th. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors? Any social media? I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I'm obviously a big fan to all my coaches and teammates at Show MMA and at Gary Lockett's Boxing. Sponsor-wise, I won't shout them out individually, but they're all over my social media. If you could give them a follow, that'd be great as well. I'm Jack Show MMA, Instagram, Twitter. Facebook is Jack Tank Show, and I've just started a YouTube channel as well, Jack Tank Show. Plenty of content coming in the next few weeks, obviously with Fight Week approaching. So if you want to give me a subscribe on there too, that would be very much appreciated.